Hello and welcome back to my small little library. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite sci-fi series. Kind of give a recommendation to just read it or listen to it because the audiobooks are awesome as well. But yeah, today I want to talk about the Murderbot Diaries, a sci-fi series that I discovered I think a year ago maybe. And I listened to all 7 of the books that are out there as an audiobook. I lent them from my library, so I don't have any physical books to show you, but I do plan on buying the physical copies in the future when I have a little bit of money left over that I don't want to use for new books, because I do love the series and I do want to own a physical copy. So yeah, I will put the covers of the books in at random points in the video so that you can see how the covers look. And when I talk about the different books, but yeah, I sadly don't have anything physical to show to you. The Murderbot series, or the Murderbot Diaries, which is the original series title for them, were written by Martha Wells, and I have read another book by her that came out a lot more recently, which is called The Witch King. That one is a fantasy, but yeah, the Murderbot series is a sci-fi series set in the future where humanity has gone to the stars and pretty much everything is corporate owned. Like, there isn't really much like privately owned things. Corporates kind of do everything, and the biggest security feature and for these companies are androids who pretty much go onto the jobs with the humans and protect them from other colonies, other companies, and alien threats on different planets. And so our main character for the series, he calls himself Murderbot, he's an android, but he hacked his own government module, and so he's self-aware, and he actually doesn't have to listen to the companies anymore because he made it so that they can't force him to do stuff, but he's kind of living undercover. He's still doing his work in an official capacity so that nobody knows that he isn't under the control of the company anymore. And he is one of my favorite sci-fi characters. I think this whole series is for the awkward human beings, and let me tell you, I'm a pretty awkward human being. I'm not... Well, let's just say I'm really introverted. I have a really, really small social battery, and I prefer books and media over people a lot of the times. And that also describes the Murderbot. He doesn't really like to talk to humans, though in some capacities in his job he has to. And he loves human media. So whenever he gets the chance, he is watching soap operas from the humans. And so most of the things he knows about humans, he knows through those soap operas, which is kind of a pretty funny concept, and it does bring a lot of funny situations into the story because he thinks about how the humans might react based on the series he's seen, and we all know how fake obviously media can be and will be, and so it's actually really funny at times. But yeah, he has a lot of adventures, so obviously I don't want to spoil much because I feel like this series everybody should read it for the first time. I'm really sad that I can't read it for a second time for the first time, because I feel like the first go around has the biggest impact and is the funnest of them all. So yeah, I won't do a lot of spoiling, but the one thing is so in the first mission he is with some scientists on a planet, and there are other scientists and other corporations on the planet as well, but they do different things on different parts of the planet. And then at some point the other humans go dark, and the SEC unit, which is the official title for these androids, and the humans kind of have to find out what is up, what is happening here, and why is it happening. And he actually kind of, even though the humans at the beginning don't know that his government module is hacked, obviously they think he's the official SEC unit, but they do throughout the book kind of learn what it is. And the whole series through is pretty much Murderbot trying to find out who he is and what he wants, and trying to find out something about his past that is kind of the reason he calls himself Murderbot, because he did actually, or at least he thinks he murdered some people, and so he gives himself the name of Murderbot, which is also the reason why he hacked the government module, because obviously he thinks that maybe there was something bad going on, and that is also what kind of fuels his adventure going on. And he makes a lot of friends along the way, human friends, other android friends, and then also spaceships as friends, like pretty much like everything that has kind of a conscience that humans use, because they obviously have a lot of like AIs and stuff like that, a lot of droids, sec units everywhere. Like their humanity really has commingled with like robots actually, and so there are different points in the series where he makes not really friends, because they kind of don't really have concept of friendship between the droids, but he makes acquaintances between them, and it's really funny because it's not only his story at some point, but also the friends he made along the way and what he inspires them all to do, because sec units and androids in general don't really have a good standing in this world. They are owned by corporations, they aren't like free beings, and he kind of finds people where that maybe is not always the case, but he finds it really awkward, and most of the humans find it really awkward to like not have this status quo going and to change things. And that also brings a lot of like comedy and not really dramatic things. I feel like the books aren't really like that dramatic. They are more like funny. They have a lot of drama because people get in difficult situations, but it's all laced with a lot of like fun along the way, if you get what I mean. You know, it's not one of those really, really serious sci-fi series, which, to be honest, I personally prefer the ones with a little bit of humor in it, to the ones that are just really, really strict, serious sci-fi, if you get what I mean. So yeah, we have 7 books all in all. Let me quickly go through what they're called and my ratings of them, because not all of the books have gotten 5 stars from me. We started the series with All Systems Red. That got 4 stars from me. It's kind of the introduction. Obviously, introductions are always like a little bit more on the hit or miss side, but I enjoyed it, but I didn't outright love everything about the first book. I felt like there was like a little bit of growth more possible, and the full potential wasn't like used, I felt like, in the first book. Then we have Artificial Condition, which is part 2. This one I give 4 stars because it felt a little bit of like a filler episode, with second parts in series often do that, so I didn't fault the book necessarily, but I felt like part 2 did the littlest amount of furthering Murderbot stories, so I gave it like 3.5, 4 stars. It was actually the book with the lowest rating, in my opinion. Then we went to Rogue Protocol, which is part 3. That one got a 4.5 stars. The pretty much like Murderbot's story really goes off from there, and he meets a lot more interesting people, and there's a lot more of a goal to look forward to, I feel like, in the series, and his personality comes through a lot more at that point, and we get a lot more like hilarious situations, which I really loved. And from that on out, they all got 5 stars from me. So we have Exit Strategy, which is part 4. Also, sorry if the camera shakes. My dog is right next to the camera. Then we have Network Effect, which is part 5. Fugitive Telemetry, which is part 6. And then System Collapse, which is part 7. And hopefully we will get more. I hope we will get more, because I'm not done with that series. I love it and I want more. But yeah, those are all of the parts of the Murderbot series. As I said, I won't spoil you any of the story any more than I've already done so, because I feel like you have to experience it yourself. Yeah, they do differ quite widely in length, the books. The first ones were all rather short. So a lot of them were like 3 to 4 hour audiobooks, so really, really on the shorter side. Then towards the middle we get longer, and I think the longest one is like a 14-hour audiobook, and then we go down to like 6-7 hours again. So it's not like a really, really long story in itself, but I really enjoyed that. I feel like especially in sci-fi, we have a lot of like really, really big sci-fi books, and I feel like sometimes that's too much. And having a series that you can read in between those longer books, I feel like is perfect. So these were definitely perfect for that. But yeah, I was kind of sad all in all that it's not longer because I enjoyed it so much that I wanted more. But obviously, you know, they are shorter books, so you are a little bit quicker through them than you might want to be. Yeah, and so that is kind of all of the facts about the story. I really, really love this. I really resonated with the main character. I feel like there's no love story in here, which is what I personally prefer in books, you know. There's not. I felt like there were no unnecessary stories in here, or like side quests, if you want to call it that. I felt like the purpose of the books is rather clear from the beginning, and there wasn't, you know, so often nowadays there has to be a love story, which I personally despise. I don't care for them. I don't like. It's not like nobody should do love stories, you know. I totally get why people put them in books, but I feel like it's kind of weird that they are now in everything, and it's really hard to find books where there isn't a love story in there if you look at fantasy and sci-fi books in general, you know. So I kind of hate that. So I love that Murderbot. I mean, he's kind of asexual. You know, he's a robot. He doesn't really have any primary parts. Like there are female androids that are on the more like shady side of the trade, but they are kind of like in contrast to like the sexless bots, kind of. So yeah, but I feel like he's a really relatable character, and I feel like in a lot of like he obviously, because he is a security droid, he has a lot of like abilities that a normal human wouldn't have. You know, he can withstand a lot of damage and he can regenerate. So obviously he's not like a human character who is like feeble, and often the human characters get like superimposed qualities, so they are, you know, the hero of the story. But Murderbot, he has his abilities and he isn't shy about those abilities, but because of his personality, everything is kind of kept in check the whole story, so he isn't like this massively overconfident being. He's like more of like a shy bot that kind of is awkward, and he doesn't really know what to do with humans, and it's just so refreshing to kind of have like a nicely portrayed awkward character, because I feel like often in books when you have like more people that are more on the awkward side of socializing, that they often can really easily get into caricatures instead of being reasonable people. And Murderbot, for me, hit it on the head. I could really find myself in him, to be honest. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just think it's one of those fun theories that maybe it's not like this literary masterwork, which I can't even analyze anyway, because, you know, I don't have any kind of an education in literature or anything like that. You know, I read books for the enjoyment of it, and this series has given me a lot of enjoyment. So I feel like maybe if it's not a masterwork literacy wise or literary wise, it is a masterwork in my opinion of the portrayal of a socially awkward character and his journey to kind of trying to fit in with a group in society. So yeah, I I hope you enjoyed my little review of the series. It's a shorter review because I really don't want to talk a lot about what is happening in the story, because I don't think you should know before you read the books. And they are short books, so it's not that much of an ask to read them. But for me, this is one of the better series out there, and one of the series where I really love the characters, and that means a lot to me, to be honest. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.